No, it's good. I'm here also just thinking about this. These different stories. When people do not seek that help, I've actually experienced it in my own household with my mother-in-law. I've never had an issue with my mother-in-law, and she probably hates that I'm going to say this, but
Hey,
she'll forgive me.
we're
She'll forgive me.
there. You go.
But no, man, she had her own experiences as as a woman and in her own life, and I guess that also where she didn't get it fixed or didn't seek that help, that now she's seeing her grandchild in the relationship that may have and may probably thought that I was probably going to do something inappropriate to my daughter, right? And it bothered me more than anything, Michael, because when I tell you that I've worked on myself and who I am, I'm not here to repeat cycles. I'm here to break cycles. And I think she knows that, right? And has for the last so many years of my life. But whatever, because of one of her traumas, it allowed her to react in a different way. And I wasn't having it, to be quite frank, because understanding where I was at as a person. And she apologized and told me about, some of the issues that she was encountering and why. But it just goes to prove that people think that they can just sweep it under the rug, and they can't, right? It comes back to you at some point. And we talked about a little earlier, or I mentioned it. It could be a smell that brings you back to that moment of hurt, of being broken. And it's so when we talk about a therapist, it's not that just one and done. Sometimes it's having you go through those moments, it is seeking that help, and one of the coolest things that we talked about, and I think we both agree on that. Yeah, there is the medication part to it, but it doesn't always have to take that. And I think that's where you guys kind of play this special part as well, Michael. If we can kind of talk about that, I think you guys are in a space that, yeah, you respect that there's medication there, but not everyone has to go through that, and it's not for everybody. That's not the go-to, the model that you guys are kind of going up against.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let me put a pin in that last conversation, and then we'll talk about maybe treatments. So the other thing I think I learned, and it's hard to ingest, and maybe I still don't quite believe it in my bones, but is that everyone's experience is unique to them, and what is a massive trauma to one person, you don't trauma compare, you don't symptom compare, you just be supportive. So um, obviously you shared your experience as a child. That is an acute event, multiple events. Obviously, veterans experience things in active
Mm-hmm.
military. Those things are undoubtedly more severe than someone suffering just generalized anxiety for no specific event driven reason. But we don't need to compare one to the other. Everyone's experience and feelings are valid,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been frankly, I'd say hard to ingest. But how do you compare the person that was a war fighter and experienced what they experienced to, again, someone that can't even necessarily name some event that changed their life? The answer is don't compare them. So I think that's the other kind of learning here. Um, your mother-in-law had her experiences. I've had my experiences. You've had your experiences, and we don't need to. We don't need um, to invalidate how we're feeling because someone else, in our perception, may have had it worse.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, so maybe that's the only other thing I'd say, or kind of like foundational learning over the last 5 years, is that biological underpinnings and everyone's experience is their own, and they're 100% valid. So uh, now to answer your question, maybe the good news is there is a lot of innovation happening in the space. Um, so let me ramble a little bit about what we do and frankly what just the industry is kind of experiencing. So um, as we've maybe better understood, still don't fully understand the mind, but better understood the mind, there are interventions, and there's kind of a segment of psychiatry being called interventional psychiatry, which can lead to breakthrough kind of events in someone's processing ability of what they're feeling and just general symptom relief that doesn't require hours and hours and hours and hours of therapy or perpetual kind of medication. Far be it from me to understand how those things work, but there are a lot of innovations, frankly, not done by us. Our job is to distribute and deliver those treatments to patients, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of innovation in kind of the market that is bringing things to people that otherwise maybe they would never find relief. So to your question, what do we offer? So at Stella, we offer general psychiatry, so therapy and medication management, which, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely have a critical role both as frontline treatments, as maintenance treatments,
Yeah.
as everything in between. And also, it's well known and studied that 2/3 of people are treatment resistant. Kind of, let's say, insurance company nomenclature, where they don't respond to those treatments. That's when we will offer also interventional psychiatry, which are in clinic kind of treatments such as transcranial magnetic stimulation, so TMS, FDA approved, insurance reimbursed, Spravato, which is a kind of nasal ketamine derivative, FDA approved, insurance reimbursed, both indicated for depression, anxiety, OCD in some cases, and also things like IV or IM ketamine infusions, as well as the stellate ganglion block for PTSD, which is kind of a lesser known procedure. But point being, there are these in clinic modalities that can help, maybe wrong word, modulate the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens in the body happens, and it allows people a breakthrough, a feeling window. I shouldn't mention they're right around 70 to 80% effective, so not everyone responds, but the great majority, and certainly more than just therapy or just meds, get this window to, as we get hundreds and hundreds of these kind of anecdotes, notes, reviews, feel normal again. And that opens up time to work on therapy, to work on your relationship with your significant other, to work on being with your kids, to get physically fit, whatever it is that
Yeah.
that the brain or the mood may be prohibiting you from doing. Again, those kind of interventions can help speed up that process and do it in a way that doesn't always or even most of the time require reliving the experience. So they're just, let's call them almost biological ways to feel better. So